my father was a real big influence on him. I saw it up close. Like he struggled. You know, he worked with the Kroger Corporation, and he was like, if I could just get to this, man, if I can just get here, and I could just see him trying to get across the finish line. Yeah, he was like, you know, years before that, he was like, man, I'm gonna travel, I'm gonna open me a little business, I'm gonna do this, and then, you know, like a few years after, he's gone, man, and I'm like, whoa, wow. Really? And then that was like the piece that really, I mean, you talking about time, and that was the piece that really hit me, because I was working and I was just like, I'm out, I'm done. And so I took the calculated risk and bet on myself, but I also was like, I got to get good at something. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I just got to get good at something. So like every day, and you may have seen that meme, is like, man, an entrepreneur will work 80 hours so they don't have to work 40. That's it. That's it. So even in retirement, man, you know, I take months off, but when I'm putting in the work, man, I'm really putting in the work. Yeah. No, absolutely. I'm starting, you know, to kind of feel that, having started this, you know, FlyDialogue with, you know, me and my buddy, and actually another UT grad, Kevin Anderson. But yeah, it's like now that I'm really pushing towards something that is mine. I'm motivated, but it's like exactly what you're saying. I'm trying to get into that space, exactly what you're describing, put in that 80 hours, not to be locked into that 40, man, on the corporate side. Right. And really it's the 80 that's mine, but the 40 that is someone else's. Yeah. Now being in sales, there is, I don't know, that's always been talked about to me. I've always described that as entrepreneurial, because it's yours, it's your territory. You're in charge of, you know, depending on how it's set up from a financial standpoint. I won't go too far into that, but that's always kind of how I've owned it. Like my territory, my customers, those are mine. I know I'm representing the company, but ultimately I am the guy, their point of contact. This is my business. I'm in charge of this. I'm running it. Now I'm reporting everything up, you know, to, you know, the owner of the company. I've always worked with like private companies, so there's been like the owner, the guy. But from my standpoint, I'm like, no, this is mine. This is I have to own this for me to be successful in it, because it's sales, it's bottom line. So. No, man, I think that's the mindset that you have to take, and most people don't take that. They take it as it's somebody else's job now, man. It's like when I made that shift, and I'm actually writing a book called Mind Shift. When I took that shift, what I realized is that people would ask me for the last two companies that I work with, literally last two massive global organizations. I would always say, I'm working with this company, right? I'm working with the Bridgestone Corporation. I'm working with the Nissan Corporation. I'm working with, as though I wasn't W-2. Right. I'm like, hey, in my mind, I'm 1099 at best. Right. And so I treated it that way, which means that, and the word that some people really connected with me when I was like, I'm more of an entrepreneur than an entrepreneur right now. Huh. Yeah. Yeah. So if you hadn't heard that, let me just kind of introduce that. Yeah. It's the entrepreneur mindset inside of somebody else's organization. Oh, sure. Okay. You see what I'm saying? So to that point, what happens is you literally try to say, okay, here's my role, here's my job, but is there any way I can innovate? Is there any way I can increase, make processes, systems more fluid, more engaging, you know, whatever, right? Because I got a brand that I'm upholding. Yeah. And of course, what happens is you start to create value. And, you know, one of the things that organizations do is they give you promotions and bonuses and things like that. Sure. But, you know, you got to know what your end result was. So after a while, that didn't appeal to me. Gotcha. Became a plate of food, man. It got boring, huh? It got boring, man. I was like, crazy. Hey, it was good for a minute, man, but I'm ready to rock on. Yeah, no, I mean, and I love how, I won't say casually threw them around, but, you know, Bridgestone, Nissan, I mean, we're talking massive, world-renowned
brands, companies. If you don't mind, talk about your experiences there, man. It doesn't have to be good, bad. But just kind of like how that impacted you and maybe how that got you to where you are now.
Outside of a structured organization into like what we call open forums, this is the stuff that I share, man. Because here's the thing: is most people are getting caught up in I want to do my own thing, and they're not taking the right approach. And so what I want to do is just shine a light on a different approach. And what I had happen in those organizations taught me so much about the stuff I'm doing now, right? Gotcha. Think about this. I started out doing national work for the Nissan organization, right? Getting the opportunity to travel, getting the opportunity to see this. Now, we ascend, and I don't want to get overly philosophical, but that's just where I'm at right now. We ascend to where we can see, right? Like if you've never been introduced to, a Maybach, a Bentley, a Rolls Royce, then you don't even have an urge for that, right?
Sure.
If you've never had a good what's the drinks that you have, man, like a nice little beer or whatever. Yeah, like if you've never had one of those, right? You can't even talk about it, right? And
frame of reference.
What some of those organizations did is showed me how the life was going to be. So the black car service, the paying for my hotels I was doing it for them, but they were taking care of me. So eventually what happened is I needed to get to that place where I was like, I still need to have that service, but it's going to be through my organization, right? So that was stuff that I was learning, right? Gotcha. The understanding of how to do international conversations and connections and building international teams. Man, I learned stuff like that, man. Now, were there people who were only on their course to try to get better, and so they may try to impede yours? Sure. Like, hey, we in a rotation. We not planning on retiring anytime soon. We trying to get as high as we gonna get. So you kind of in my way, and I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna let you be great on your side. Let me get over here. And so those are some of the things I learned. Also, learned that the network that you can create in organizations, you can take it with you, man.
Yeah.
You can take it with you. And there's some people that I'm still connected to that they've moved on. And you talk about from a business standpoint, bro, like at this point, my business, and this is crazy because I talk to people who are trying to sell me new things all the time on like how to pick up sales, right? And I'm like, I'm at 80 to 85% of my business is all referral. Right. But a lot of that started off with the relationships that I had internally to some of these organizations. Absolutely. And so because of that, it was a beautiful thing, man. Yeah. You also got to learn humility. You learn there were times when my boss knew less than me. Yeah. And I'm looking at them like, why are you making this money? And why are you in this role? Why are you in this position? But they're there for something. Somebody saw them. Somebody thought they were cool, should have put them there, whatever, right? Sure. And it really taught me how to be humble because let's just be real. Now I can release it. I was running two businesses while I was inside of somebody else's. Right. Almost all the time, man. And like from the state of Tennessee all the way up to when I retired from Bridgestone, man. Right. Do you know how humble you have to be when somebody's trying to tell you how to do something? You just like, dude, when I get off work from here, I'm about to go do something that's gonna equal the pay that I'm making and meet with somebody else. Like what? And you just sit there and be like, okay, I'm cool. Yeah. Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. That makes a lot of sense. If you don't, okay, you do mine. All right. Okay. All right. All right. You know what I'm saying? You just sit there and be okay with it. Yeah. Right. So it taught me a lot of that. And so it's been a beautiful journty, man. It's been a beautiful journey. And I'll say this last thing, and I know we've got to move on.
No, you're good, man.
This is probably the biggest thing that I learned right before I left. is that a job can be my bank account. Now I'm giving nuggets that I would give and that I'm gonna put in this book. So y'all need to make sure y'all listening to this. If you're not gonna pay for
the I know. I got it locked in. Man.
Right. Now listen to this, man. And this was a shift that it took. Think about when most people go to the bank to get a small business loan, right? They're excited. They're like, "Yo, I'm gonna try for this $100,000, right? I'm gonna do this." And you got this anxiety that comes, like you sweating, and they sit in front of you in the seat and say, "Well, Mr. Daniels, it looks like," and you like, you just hoping they say yes, and they may not give you all of what you need, right?
Oh, right, for sure.
They may not give you. They may turn you all the way down.
Turn you right. I was about to say
all the way down, right? Or if they give you something, they may give you a portion of what that is.
Sure.
This is what I realized about work. The work is your bank. Most of us, now this is most of us, especially at certain levels in your life and in your career, most of us really don't need to use all the money that we make.
Absolutely.
You don't need to, right? Because research shows that you get a $10,000 bump, you can probably start purchasing $10,000 more.
Yep.
But you didn't need that before you got the bump.
Didn't.
Right? And so how many people have got new jobs, new roles, do whatever, and they've gotten that nice little bump and they started spending more. And so what I realized is that if you look at your
it's so easy to do too, man. It's so easy.
It's coming in. And so of course it causes discipline. But the other thing is mentally, the way you walk into your job, if you know that's the bank, if you ask for $100,000 and they didn't give it to you, but you got a bump of $20,000, it don't take 5 years for you to get the money that you talk about. Now you're like, man, it only takes 5 years. It's gonna be 5 years anyway.
Right.
So 5 years you got your money. And you've been working on your business plan, you've been working on whatever. Now you can finance your own stuff.
Right.
And there you go. Now you don't have to worry about nobody turning you down. Or you can show, hey, I got collateral of this. Let's go to the bank and let's talk about more.
That's funny, man. Al Brown, Al. Yeah. Al calls, looks at it very similarly. He says, your employer may be your employer, but they at the same time can be your biggest investor.
Be sure to visit FlyDialogue.com to find out more about us, including our radio station where we stream hip hop 24/7. Yo, we're literally jamming as we speak. We got a craft beer blog called Cream. Craft rules everything around me. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, the craft beer app called Untapped, or on YouTube. Just search Fly Dialogue on all these platforms. Be sure to follow us and friend us, subscribe to us. Long story short, check us out. We'd love to have y'all and we look forward to connecting with you. And let's talk soon.